Good day, Doc. Good day, classmates. I am Mary Grace G. Panoy, and I am about to discuss about Chapter 10, Culture, Creativity, and Innovation. I am assigned to talk about culture, and Miss Cheryl Nuda will talk about the creativity and innovation. Okay, so this will be the learning objectives of today's discussion. So we first define organizational culture, and then we distinguish between dominant culture and subcultures. And then we describe culture's role in the organization, and then identify factors that lead to the creation of organizational culture. And then we identify the tools through which organizational culture is transmitted. And then we describe the effects of organizational culture on organizational functioning, and then we identify the factors responsible for getting organizational culture to change. Okay, before getting into the main topic, we will first analyze certain company, a very well-known one, the McDonald's. So these are their culture at McDonald's in three principles. So they have here the customer obsessed. No, they exceed the customer's expectation at every visit through great food and great hospitality. Okay, then better together. Our employees are valued and empowered. We unleash the power of diversity. We win together, and then committed to lead. No, we commit to being the best. We prioritize our commitment to focus on growth. So these are some um, culture of McDonald's. Okay, so any one of us who has worked in a different organizations know exactly what is the culture of that company, right? So even companies who offer the same products or services still differs when it comes to culture. Okay, so yes, as we observe, no, even when we go to McDonald's, we can observe how they value customers, okay? How driven they are when it comes to teamwork and excellence, okay? So some organizations focus on customer service and customer satisfaction, while others are more concerned with meeting quotas and pushing customers to buy that could somehow bring a negative effects to customers. Okay, so we will now define what is organizational culture. So it is said here, based on the reference that we are having, I organizational culture is a cognitive framework consisting of the attitudes, values, behavioral norms, expectations shared by organization members. Okay, so once this attitudes, these values, beliefs, norms, and expectations tend to be stable, and the organization must exert strong influence to those working with them. Okay, some companies' culture are innovative, some are people oriented. Team oriented, aggressive when it comes to sales, some are customer oriented, and so on. Since it is cognitive, company leaders also have to be aware that corporate culture can change. Okay? We must remember that. Culture is linked to knowledge. In other words, whatever didn't work in the past would have to be done differently. Okay? Now we go to the organizations, maybe distinguish with respect to their basic values. Okay, so we can differentiate organizational culture through these factors. Okay, sensitivity to the needs of customers and employees, freedom to initiate new ideas, willingness to tolerate taking risk, and openness to communication options. Okay, so we'll start with the sensitivity to the needs of customers and employees. Okay, some companies are really prioritizing this. We have here an example, the Unilab. Okay, they have the Husay, Malasakit, and Bayanihan, okay, to go above and beyond one's call of duty to be able to provide unparalleled customer service and also to show its genuine appreciation. Unilab provides quality care to its employees. Okay, so not just the customers, but also to their employees. Beyond benefits, the company fosters a culture of meritocracy, okay, and fairness, so it can offer opportunities and personal growth and professional development to the employees. Okay. Another example is in the UPS, okay? They are more rigid and inflexible with respect to customers' needs. But today, as it has been said that culture can change, today its new culture places high value on customer service and satisfaction. Okay? Next is the freedom to initiate ideas. We can distinguish organizational factors from one company to another based on their freedom to initiate new ideas. So we have here an example, okay, in the Walt Disney Company. Employees there undergo a lengthy orientation programs to ensure that they know exactly what to say and how to behave towards guests. Okay, so masyadong let us say may guide talaga. Okay. In contrast, no, with the General Electric or the GE, employees are encouraged to be unique and to bring fresh ideas to their work. Okay? Next is willingness to tolerate taking risk. Okay, so we have here an example in the Bank of America. They are very conservative, making only the safest investments, while the limited buyers are discouraged from making too many safe choices. So we can determine their difference on based on their willingness to tolerate taking risk, especially on investment. Okay? Now we go to the openness to communication options. So we have here an example, DuPont. Employees are expected to make decisions freely and to communicate with whomever is needed to get the job done. While in the IBM, the tradition has been to work within the proper communication channels. Okay? Now we go to the cultures within organizations. Is it one or many? Okay, let us answer that. Okay, so in the organization, there could be dominant cultures and subcultures. So dominant cultures reflects the organization's core values, dominant perceptions that are generally shared throughout the organization, while the subcultures, it is also known as mini cultures operating within the larger dominant culture. Okay, so our discussion so far has implied that each organization has only single, based on the examples given, right? Single, a uniform culture, or one set of shared values, beliefs, and expectations. Yes, based on yung examples natin kanina. But organizations, particularly the large ones, have several culture operating within them, since people tend to have more attitude and values than the others in other field, right? And it may differ also due to their difference in functionalities, geographic distances, academic backgrounds, and so on. Take note that organizations deals with diverse people. Okay? Going into the cultures within organizations, still one or many. So we have here an illustration. Okay? So in an organization, there is a dominant culture. This is primarily set by the management. No, mostly this dominant culture are included to the company's core values, and these are shared generally with the entire members of the organization. Some of which, as seen in the example, customer service, openness to the new ideas, and high quality, while the subcultures, on the other hand, are mini cultures, okay, operating within a larger dominant culture. So, example here is based on divisional aspects, sales team could have honest representation on products, okay, and then in accounting department, there could be accuracy because, of course, accuracy is needed to provide reliable reports, okay. In engineering department, there could be a thorough testing of products to ensure only quality products are to be sold. Okay, so this is just naming a few subcultures operating within a large dominant culture. So we are only speaking on the positive subcultures. But when we are exposed to the different workplaces, there are some, no, unproductive subcultures which are present in the organization. Okay? Now we go to the culture's role in the organization. So we have here provides a sense of identity for members, enhances commitment to the organization's mission, and then clarifies and reinforce standards of behavior. Okay? So let us discuss more on this. So, the more clearly an organization's culture are defined, the more strongly people can associate themselves with their organization's mission and feel a vital part of it. Okay, it provides a sense of identity for members. So, when the organization is popular, in doing great achievements, no, employees too could be very proud of it. Okay. Next is it generates or enhances commitment to the organization's mission. So sometimes employees could be so committed to the organization's mission, no, even putting aside their personal interest. Okay. Next is it clarifies and reinforces standards of behavior. Okay, so organizational culture guides employees' words and deeds, making it clear what they should do and what they should say in a given situation. For example, if a customer is shouting, complaining about the product or the service, no? So an employee is guided with handling customers with care. So in one way or another, maybe the employee, he or she will know what exactly is to be done. Okay, so doing whatever it takes to please the customer. So he or she is guided. Okay. Next is we go to the formation and maintenance of organizational culture. Okay, so we have the company founders, the experience with the environment, and contact with others. Okay, so we are going to discuss this in the following slides. So first, the formation and maintenance of organizational culture is done by the company founders. Okay? So, company cultures may be traced from the founders of the company. So these individuals possess dynamic personalities, strong values, and clear vision of how their organization should operate. Okay, so another example is in Microsoft calls for working long hours because that's what co-founder Bill Gates has always done. Okay, so this is Bill Gates. Okay, and Ray Kroc, the founder of McDonald's, um, he is known on the values of good food at a good value served in a clean and family-oriented surroundings. So the company founders establish no some basic culture that until today it is being practiced by the organization. Okay, next is the experience with the environment. So organization's culture is shaped by its interaction with the external environment. So for example, here, Company X may find selling products of moderate quality but an attractive prices works best. A dominant value centering on price leadership could take shape. Okay? So another example, one company may determine that delivering defect-free products is its unique market niche. Okay, so by doing so, it can build a core of customers who prefer it rather to competing business. And as a result, the organization may gradually acquire a deep shared commitment to high quality. So this culture came out through the experience with the environment. Okay, next is the formation and maintenance of organization culture is brought about by the contact with others. Okay, so culture involves shared interpretations of events and actions on the part of organization members. Okay, so culture develops out of the contacts between groups of individuals within the organization. Okay, so for example, if your colleague is very concerned with professionalism, it practices all the time professionalism at work, eventually those that surrounds him could develop such standard of behavior. Okay? Now we go to the tools for transmitting the culture. So we have here the symbols, stories, jargon, ceremonies, statements of principle. Okay? So in symbols, symbols that say more than meets the eye. Okay? So our organization often rely on symbols. So for example, in GE, they have their slogan, imagination at work, and at Lexus, pursuing perfection. And then Jollibee is using its Happy Bee to convey about certain aspects about their organizational culture. Okay, so symbols are materials or objects that connotes meaning that extends beyond intrinsic content. Okay, so for example, okay, so that is all about symbols. Okay, so we have also the stories. So telling stories can effectively introduce or reaffirm values to employees. Okay, next we have the jargon, the special language that defines a culture. Okay, so for example, here in the IBM's circuit boards are called planar boards. And in some pharmacy, no, they call the transfer document as the TRF. So many organizations, they have their jargon words, okay? And in ceremonies, special events that commemorate corporate values. Okay, so for example, one accounting firm celebrated its move to a much better facilities by having a party. So that celebration signifies they made it. Okay? So too big time to such ceremony convey meaning to people inside and outside of the organization. Okay? So the last is the statements of principles. Okay? So explicitly written their principles for all to see. Okay? So example here is in the Forest Mars, no? The founder of the candy company developed his 5 principles of Mars, which guide the employees until today. Okay, so they have the quality, responsibility, mutuality, efficiency, and freedom. Okay. Now we go to the organizational culture, its consequences, and capacity to change. So the effects of organizational culture, it generates strong pressure on people to go along, to think and act in ways consistent with the existing culture. So um, the organization culture stresses on the importance of products, quality, and excellent service. So its customers generally will find their complaints handled politely and efficiently. Okay? But if the culture stresses on high output at any cost, it will be difficult to complain since employees are so rigid and focused on their task. Okay? So culture strongly affect everything from the way people or the employee dresses to the speed with which people are promoted. Okay? So the impact of organizational culture, research has shown that culture influences performance. This idea has important implication both for individual and for organizations. Okay, so people seeking employment should examine carefully the prevailing culture of an organization before deciding to join it. Okay, why? Because if they don't do it, they run the risk of finding themselves in a situation wherein their own values and those of their company values clashes. Okay, so for example, if you value honesty and then you are hired to a very corrupt office, there will be clashes of values. So, in this situation, mostly newbies would rather resign than to work with that organization. Okay? And then organizations should focus on attracting individuals whose values match their own, or what is known as person organization fit. Okay? So some companies has their culture fit interview. Okay? So this can tell if someone is hired or not, making sure that the values of the applicant matches with the values of the organization. Okay, now we have the why. We will answer this why and how does organizational culture change. Okay, so external events such as shifts in the market conditions, the new technology, the altered government policies, the AI, and many factors changes over time. So there is also a need of changing mode of business and also to its culture. Okay? So we have here the composition of the workforce. Okay? So composition of the workforce can cause changes in the organizational culture. People from different ethnic and cultural backgrounds may have contrasting views about behavior at work. So, some value hard work, some would value their health, which prevents them from working beyond what is required. No, some value promotion. Um, they do things at all cost in order to be promoted. Okay. Another factor, no, that could contribute to the culture change is the merger and acquisition. Okay, so also a factor. This is also a factor. No, in many cases, kasi powerful or the acquiring company dominates when it comes to culture. Um, Clashes of organizational culture could take place. Okay, so the acquiring company and the acquired company are both autocratic, for example. So neither group will be interested in giving up its ways. So there could be conflict, okay, but it can be resolved through proper dialogue between parties. Okay, next is the planned change or planned organizational change. Okay, no, so going back to our definition, organizational culture is a cognitive framework. Thus, it involves knowledge. Okay, when the existing culture is not anymore helpful to achieve the goal of the management or the goal of the organization, no? So the management could plan to change it. Okay, so of course, this is not an easy task, no? So there can be new norms, governing preferred or acceptable behavior will emerge, and attitudes and values supporting these norms may place may take place eventually. Okay, so this is planning to change the organizational culture is not an easy task. Okay, so that would be all for my presentation. These are my references. Okay, so thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for listening, and I hope you got something in here that could be very useful in your field of specialization. Okay, so thank you so much, and God bless us all.